Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is discipline, motivation, and thinking about kind of where I started growing that um, for me in my life. And I think it started whenever I was younger. I was never very athletic, good at sports or anything, but that kind of put a chip on my shoulder at a young age. I always wanted to work as hard as I could, try as hard as I could, and I think back then I thought that I was putting forth the right amount of effort, things like that. But looking back on it, I know that I didn't work or work out or do the things I should have done to really be like good at sports like I thought I was. It just didn't come naturally to me, and I should have worked harder. But I realized that as I was getting older, really after I graduated high school, and I realized, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna perform great at sports. Sports is just the analogy I'm using right now because that was the thing, in high school, junior high, high school that I was, mostly involved in. But at 5'11", 145 pounds, you're not gonna do a whole lot on a football field. So that's kind of what started getting me that chip on my shoulder, my motivation and that discipline of, okay, I'm gonna have to work out harder than a lot of people. I'm gonna have to eat more protein than a lot of people. I'm gonna have to do those things, and I'm gonna have to try harder than other people. And that's kind of what developed that discipline muscle for me not to be so reliant on just any natural abilities or anything like that. I knew I was going to always have to work harder. And I think that's what kind of propelled me in business. And, then getting more into fitness in the gym was having that foundation of having that chip on my shoulder and being able to kind of grow that muscle, if you will, to know that I'm going to have to work out harder. I'm going to have to work on my businesses harder because an average person isn't going to be able to run multiple businesses or get in decent shape because it takes a lot of effort. And I think I'm grateful really that I wasn't super athletic. I wish I was more athletic, but I'm grateful that I learned that from going through that. Dang, I wish I was playing more. Dang, I wish, you know, I started or whatever. And that kind of made it to where, like, okay, I started realizing later, once I was like 18, 19, 20, okay, I'm going to have to try harder than at everything because that's what's going to, and that muscle kind of grew into business, into fitness and things like that. So, and now that I'm 35, it's hard for me. It's easy to be complacent now, but I kind of just I've learned to tap into that dark energy, and I will put it in my head at times if I'm feeling like not going to the gym or working on one of the businesses or anything like that. I'm like, well, the average person wouldn't. They would take the day off, or you know, uh, they would skip the workout, and or yeah, if you want to be the 6 foot, 145 pound kid you were in high school again, sure, you can not work out anymore. You can just so I kind of channeled that dark energy, and it's hard at times, and people, and saying it as dark energy isn't like a negative thing, it's more of just having that chip on your shoulder. I appreciate all the people that told Hill and I back in 2012 that opening a pizza place in Maroa isn't going to work. I'm grateful for all those people. I should send them a thank you card because all that did was drive us even harder to make it work. Then it drove us harder in other areas of our lives to make it work. So, God really blessed me, in my opinion, by using you're not going to be the most athletic in high school or anything, but using that energy, using those circumstances to make it to where I wanted to try harder. I wanted to work out harder. I wanted to work on my businesses more. I wanted to be successful because, for a lot of people, in high school, success is, being good at sports or being the lead in the play or whatever. And I was just, more the average kid. But I knew I didn't want to be average. I wanted to be more. I wanted to try harder, and I wanted to be successful.
Well, and it helped too, probably that when you were in high school, based off your other conversations, you had a good working drive as well.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
mean,
wasn't just
I was
kids
blessed
sports
that
and
I could
whatnot.
work for my parents, so I started working young and getting into the pizza factory at a young age. So I was super blessed and fortunate for that. And, luckily my parents were never played favorites. We had to work our way up. Josh and I in the pizza factory, it wasn't like, hey, you're managing here. I mean, we had to start and we had to learn every station. We had to learn everything. We had to be regular employees for other managers and earn our way. So I'm definitely grateful for that too. We weren't just handed anything as far as leadership roles or anything like that. We were held to a higher standard than a regular employee because we were their kids. Once again, that was a blessing, being held to a higher standard. But I mean, it would have been easy for them to just let us, you know, go in and mess
Yeah, you're
around
like
and
you're like
kind
this side,
of
you
do
can do whatever you
whatever.
want,
And
and yeah.
yeah, but once again, we had a sense of I had a sense of pride. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to prove that I was the best one at the pizza factory, and that was something I was able to excel at. And what kind of drove me into that direction as I was getting older and out of high school, like knowing I wanted to own a restaurant, I wanted to do pizza for my career. So I was super fortunate to find somebody that wanted to do that journey with me in Hill and wanted to take that challenge on. But I mean, at the end of the day, God tells us in the Bible, Jesus tells us we're going to face trials, we're going to face adversity, but that's supposed to strengthen our faith, and that's supposed to strengthen us as people going through those trials and persevering through them. So I'm grateful for all of those, and I know I've got many ahead that I'm going to be taking on. But I just, on the day to day ways, sometimes you just got to channel in the negative energy from the past. Like I said, I channel that negative energy quite a bit. For workouts or for days I don't want to do business stuff. The people that don't have that, if they were like, it was just easy for them throughout all high school and college and they had all this success and then they start hitting those trials, I feel like it's harder for them
Yeah.
almost because they haven't had to deal with
They haven't dealt with
anything,
it
any
in the past.
challenges. They haven't built that muscle of being, below average or average and then hitting those, once they hit those stumbling blocks later, it's, they haven't developed that muscle and then they have to develop it or fail, one of them, one
Yeah.
of the two. So that's why I'm grateful. When I had this thought last week of just, I am grateful that God made me go through a lot of stuff young, so I developed the discipline and the mental muscles and the habits to want to be successful, to want to do good, to um, when it's easy to not do something or not do the workout, not work on the restaurants, not work on the rental properties or whatever it may be, that 99% of the time I choose to still work
Just do it
and
anyways.
to
Yeah.
do the workout. And sure, there's times where I fall short and I kick myself in the butt for it the next, later or the next day. And, I learn, once again, I just try and learn lessons
Yeah.
from
So I
that too.
mean, so with kind of going back to this dark energy thing that you're talking about, how how similar do you feel when you're done, after pushing yourself to maybe do a workout that you don't want to do versus, maybe going and sitting in the office for an extra 2, 3 hours? Like, do you feel the same way afterwards or is it a different feeling for both?
I feel like when you're tapping into like that negativity and you're using it in a positive way, I feel like I get my better workouts usually that way. I get more stuff done in the office when I channel it that way. Because I used that as fuel for so many years with, opening in Maroa. And then people think we were crazy. You're opening a second store, you're only this old. And now you have, you know, a kid and your sisters are living with you. How are you going to do all that? And then we opened 2 in 1 year in 2015 in Mount Zion and Moequa. So just the channeling that stuff, I mean, it just fueled me more. So now that Hill and I, have some success and whatnot, I don't run into that near as much. So I have to kind of tap into it from the past to kind of use it in a positive way. I'm not, it's nothing negative. Like I said, I'm grateful for all the people that doubted that Hill and I could do the stuff. And we give all the credit to God for it all. It was, he gave us the abilities, the strength, and the mental fortitude to be able to do it. So we're super grateful for that. But, being able to channel that, a lot of, not a lot, but there are people that never had to really deal with that. So then they don't have that to kind of tap into as an extra boost of motivation or to help with discipline, things like that. I think it's going to get harder the older I get to be able to tap into it.
Yeah, no, and having been able to watch, the past 10 years and how you kind of switch your energy for certain things, for me at least, there's been times where I've gone, okay, I don't really want to do this, but would Matt do it? Like, yeah, Matt would do it. Or, if it's something with the business and it's, me and Callie, it's like, okay, we really want to do this. Well, if this was Matt and Hill's business, they would. Like, they wouldn't even think about it. And it's just, we've been fortunate enough to be able to watch you guys kind of be a good role model to us in that sake for our business or for our family or whatever that may be. And, I think a lot of people would probably agree that, work for you too. It's like, oh, Matt's in here just doing stuff. Like, he's not even, on the schedule or whatever that may be. And
yeah, I think that's part of leading by example. Yeah. I try to be very intentional about that. People care more about your actions than your words. Because I could say all the stuff. I could say, do this, do that. But if my actions are the exact opposite, or my actions aren't, when I'm in that kitchen with everybody working on a busy Friday night, if I can't kick ass like I expect them to, then they're going to think, okay, does he really know what he's talking about? Or,
Well, yeah, and that just shows too. I think a lot of what I think probably happens in a lot of businesses is, managers or bosses go back to that and don't think, oh, our actions are showing more than just, like sending a text message, hey, do this. It's no, go in there because the people that are working for you are going to see, oh, he's trying really hard. I should probably step up my game. They're not in the same position as you, but, right. It gets noticed.
Yeah, and they respect you more when you're doing that. And when at the same time, they respect you more if, like, they're cleaning something and you pick up the rag and you help them do it.
Yeah.
Things like that. I try to, that's just how I was raised and how Hill and I built the businesses. We wouldn't ask anybody to do something that we wouldn't do ourselves.
But you don't have the mentality of, oh, I'm paying them, they can do it.
Yeah. It's, we're a team.
Yeah.
And if everybody's working together, it's gonna benefit the whole team.
Yeah.
But develop. Once again, my big thought was just developing discipline and using motivation to propel yourself forward. You have to. Discipline is something anybody can learn and anybody can develop. But if you're not intentional about it, you can quickly slip away. That's why you've done plenty of the challenges Hill and I have done too, but that's why we do these random challenges to challenge ourselves, or like I just did, cutting out any, caffeine energy drinks for a couple weeks just because, like, a mental discipline, being able to just tell myself no, things like that, or, saying, hey, I'm going to work out every day, twice a day for 30 days, challenges like that. Just, it helps build the discipline that you need in your businesses and your personal life, your relationships, being a good husband, good dad. You got to be disciplined, and there are going to be days where you don't want to do it, and that's where you can hopefully tap into something else for motivation, music for some people, or, that negative energy from the past, or even it could be present. People could be doubting you right now, and you use that as fuel to say, you know what, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably, they think discipline, they think, oh, I need to get up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. every single morning and start with, some hard stuff. But from what I've noticed, at least lately, with the weather being nice, it's just stuff as simple as, making sure to get outside, making sure to take your kids outside, or, just doing some extra stuff before bed. Like that stuff I think can mentally help, the rest of your day or the rest of your, work ethic, just starting with small stuff like that and then grow it from there. Because I, for one, have been bad before on discipline, and that as far as, whether it's, a workout routine of some sort that I usually fall flat to, but the stuff like that, I feel like, people listening, you don't have to start big.
Start with baby steps. I mean, back in the day, whenever we had kids and she was little and we had the 3 restaurants, 2 of them being newer. I mean, I would do little things like I'm going to do 20 push-ups every morning. Yeah. Just something to I'm mentally making myself do it. I'm going to get my body moving. Obviously a big one I do every morning is I drink a bunch of water. I do, doing things to mentally prepare yourself for the day. Having those consistent habits and disciplines. Yeah. And right. And once again, it's discipline. Are you disciplined enough to continue to do it? Are you disciplined enough to then, okay, what can I increase this to grow my discipline? Can I add another thing to my day? Yeah. Whatever it may be. Because at the end of the day, like I said, discipline, you can continue to grow it or you can lose it. I mean, you can lose it faster than you can grow it. So, being intentional about growing your discipline and staying using as whatever you got to use for motivation. And once again, it's a challenge. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Yeah. When it comes to business or fitness or being a good dad or a good husband, if it was easy, everybody would just do it and the world would go around and everything would be easy. But it's not that way. We live in a sinful and broken world, and we need to do our best to grow in our faith, and as for us as men, to lead our families and to grow in discipline, and then hopefully to set a positive example and motivate others, and help them grow their in discipline and motivation, and grow that fire in them to then want to go help other people too. That's at the end of the day, that's really the point of the podcast. That's the point of a lot of the stuff Hill and I do is we want to help people. We want to grow. We want to grow as ourselves. We want to see other people grow in their lives. And so those are some of the goals that Hill and I have with the podcast and with just in general and everything that we're trying to do and be good examples as parents for our kids.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what you said with the podcast, it's not a Matt's here to tell you what you need to do. It's, hey, this is what we do, and maybe learn from it. Maybe take 1 or 2 things from it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. At the end of the day, I'm still growing. I'm still trying to learn things and be a better business owner, be a better husband, a better father, a better leader. To work out better, take better care of my body and my mentality and grow in ways. There's people I listen to. I know there's people you listen to too. And obviously it's centered around, positivity, God and positivity. I don't want to listen to negative stuff. And that's why, we're trying to bring that positivity and encouragement here.
So is there any last things that you would say to, business owner, dad, mom, just person listening to the podcast? Maybe they don't own a business. What kind of lasting things would you say?
For me, the first thing I would do to start growing my discipline is pick something fitness-wise to start doing daily, whether that's some push-ups, jumping jacks, walking a mile, whatever it is. Pick something to do every day and to get into the Word of God every day, whether that's reading a few verses, reading a chapter. Grow those 2 disciplines is where I would start, because as you're reading the Word, you're going to learn more about, being a good husband, being a good father, being a good person, and growing in that way. And the fitness thing is going to make you feel better, and then start building on there. And if you have the opportunity to have the dark energy that you can tap into on days that you don't feel like doing it, you don't feel like getting out of bed, or you don't feel like doing the hard stuff, tap into it and use it to push you to, to prove the people wrong. I mean, like I said, I mean, I still use that to this day. If I need to really lift myself up, if I'm just like not in the mood to work out or not in the mood to work on the stuff, just, hey, I can think back and think of people that said, this isn't going to work, that's going to fail, whatever. You're small, things like that. And I tap into it and then I use it and then I've got a bunch of energy and I just kick more ass because of it.